The truth is, I am so tired. I recently took interest in a person, so I went through social media to connect with that person. And that's when I noticed that my Instagram reels and posts were actually being consulted, even when I decided to stop because it revealed itself to be potentially dangerous for me because somebody was using my feed against me and to say that perhaps I'm not as balanced and stuff like that. And then now, after I look to see the amount of views and the people that are following as a result of that, it made me realize that in fact, although a person is attempting to have an effect on me or to get to me misusing my information, the actual information is potentially helpful for somebody else who's going through a similar process or is looking for it. So for that reason, I'm going to start doing it again. And essentially, I went through a good amount of days, I believe about 11 days, where I went between drinking water, drinking nothing, because when I'm not thirsty, I prefer not to drink, and the juice of lemon, and I believe sometimes maple syrup, but I'm not sure. I went through that period, and then I went to a party where I heard a person saying that a friend of his or somebody he's acquainted with got rid of white hair or his white hair drinking I'm gonna say chlorine. It's like that thing that you use in your washer for whites to make them whiter. It has chlorine in it, and yeah, so apparently like a drop. So basically, I did some research and so on, and as I researched it, I saw that the people who were proning it were basically sick, and those who were testifying were giving testimonies about how well it worked. Those looked good. They looked good, and they actually were able to rid themselves of some diseases that are common. And so then I decided to go ahead and apply the formula that was shared. And the first time I had first of all, don't do it. I'm suggesting not to do it. Now, obviously, I'm doing it from experience. So basically, I did it because, as you might have realized, I'm more of a biohacker. What I am standing for is optimal human performance. So basically, not only existing, not only surviving, but living, and beyond living, thriving. So that's what I prone. Anyhow, so I saw the logic behind it, although the people promoting the use of chlorine, and I'm pretty sure I'm not using the right term. How is it called? Bleach. There you go. So the people using bleach as a way to clean the blood, they basically looked sick and diseased as far as I'm concerned. Of course, I'm not going to name names because at the moment you start naming names, then people start calling you, and then shortly you're in front of a judge deciding if you did something defamatory or whatever. So that said, I went ahead, did my research, and then said, hey, I'm going to test it. So the first day, I kid you not, I can feel, because of where I am now in my body, I was able to feel that the bleach started right away cleaning. Right away, it started like a discharge That said, perhaps it's because I was so clean. Perhaps it would work with those people who are talking about it. But like I said, the way they look, I would stop it immediately and put them on something else. But again, I like to know for myself and not only read the information and say it's true or not true. I like to say, okay, I went through it. It might be true for some other people. For me, it's true or it's not true. In this case, it's not true. Anyhow, like I said, right away, I felt the cleanse and it started cleaning. Things were coming out. Here's the thing. 13 days later, I had to stop it perhaps after 4 or between the 4th and 6th use. I had to stop it. Why? The thing is, the speed at which it was releasing the potential toxins that were well trapped in fat cells, organs, and stuff like that in a safe way that the body did it over time, it was released so quickly that it couldn't exit as quickly as it was released. And sometimes what happens is when you are attempting to dose something in the with the lack of knowledge of truly what's going on inside in terms of quantities and stuff like that, sometimes you may not be as fast. So perhaps even like that one drop for me was excessive. And all that to say, I quickly realized, and then for me to backtrack and go back into my fasting state, I actually had to overload my body with substance that could bring back those toxins and trap them back into fat cells, into organs safely and stuff like that. And as far as I'm concerned, it was a painful 2-week period. And it's ending, I believe the 14th day is ending today. No. So was it on the 4th or the 5th? Anyhow, all that to say, it was painful 2 weeks because during that time I ate more than I did for years now. And that said, of course, my one day looked like a meal for most people in terms of quantity and so on. That said, it was still more than what I'm used to. And I finally went through it. I even drank alcohol. Basically, I took everything I could that is considered a toxin, toxins that could bind with the toxins that were free, that were circulating freely inside of me, and I couldn't take anymore. It was affecting my presence, my consciousness, my anxiety level. It was affecting too many things that I did not accept. That said, today is Monday, the 19th, I believe. Yeah, it should be. So it's a day off here in Montreal, Canada, and I'm counting on it to be that day when I finally could revert back to my fasting. And the aim for that fast is truly to attain the highest possible level of awareness as a spirit inhabiting a body, as a soul receiving the spirit that inhabits the soul and that inhabits the body. Not only I believe that we are more than we were believed or we were led to believe, is because I've had things happening in my life that can only have me say that we are strong people and we're not meant to have those things like fear, anxiety, stress, and so on. And there is a way for us to get away from that. And that starts with healing the vehicle that we were given to manifest the will of the soul and spirit. And might sound crazy, far off, but most of us who are feeling like we're not in our place, that there's something that is not quite right, most of us, I believe, are right. Doesn't mean that the others are not right. I'm just saying that when you have a doubt in terms of who you are, your capacities, what you're doing, and how your life is going on or moving forward, you're usually right. So anyhow, perhaps I'll do my last folly today and step into what I know is right and go through that space, that crucible, and allow myself to come out on the other side as being what I am meant to be, the God that I am. And sometimes it's difficult to hear and receive, and to know what truly God is. Sometimes it brings frustration in some people, because when you put that God outside of you, then there is somebody to blame. There is something to point a finger at, or someone. But when you realize that you are that God, and that piece of God is inside of you, and you do have the ability to affect not only your life, but the life of everyone around you, then you realize that, hey, there is something to do. God does exist. It depends on how I define that God, who I define that God to be. As far as I'm concerned, I rely my saying on personal experience, and I back it up externally with many things like John 14:12, like Psalm 82:6. What do they say? Well, I encourage you to check it out. One says that if we do based on the teachings that we were given, and a lot of them are in a book called the Bible, and I do say a book, then we are sure to be able to perform miracles like it has been performed by many. Not only perform those same miracles, but perform even better and more miracles, if there's such a thing as better miracles. What Psalm 82:6 says is basically that each and every single one of us is God. And we are descendants of royalty, divinity of God's. And we must behave and act as such. And the number one thing that prevented the natural flow of the highest frequencies of the universe or the cosmos, the number one hindrance, is the packing of the digestive system. When we hear that the gut is the second brain, not only it's true, the moment it is fed enough, obstructed enough, solicited enough, it is no longer the second brain. It becomes the first one. And you can imagine how incoherent such brain can be.